Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about when a person doesn't know the questions to ask, how do you expect to get the answers, And some of the things should be given to you. Like if you have, I'm going to use myself as an example because of what just happened a little while ago, just up until now. What a doctor should be telling you. Okay, now, I am type 2 diabetic, and I have been since I was, then I was diagnosed when I was 24, I think, and I'm 54 now, so 30 years, and I'm type 2, and I have heard, and I could be wrong, none of this is healthcare advice, none of this is advice at all. I'm not a healthcare professional provider, and I could be wrong with what they told me. But years ago, somebody said that a type 2 doesn't stay type 2 for more than, I think it was something like 5 to 10 years. That was apparently something just people were spreading around, because it's 30 years for me. Okay, and during these years, what I have learned about it has been more through trial and error myself. From what has happened to me. Like, I did not know. I was put on a medication eventually. I wasn't put on the medication metformin or glucophage. It's the name, the brand. But I wasn't put on it until, I guess I was in my 30s, somewhere in my 30s. And before that I was controlling it through diet. And I did control it through diet for those years. But once they put me on it, I didn't get enough information. Such as, I was told that this medication won't allow you to go too low. Well, what I wasn't told was, unless you're taking another medication that does lower it. And that happened to me not too long ago, actually. I would say maybe 6 years ago or so, 7 years, that I was on this other medication, glyburide, which I found out later on I'm allergic to. And I would take my glucose, and one day I took it and it said 26. And I went, what? To this day, I have mentioned this to doctors and said, I don't even know if a person would be alive at 26. If your glucose is 26. I really don't know. I still don't know, because they don't answer. They will not answer. They, say, well, yeah or no. Nuh-uh. They avoid it. And I've noticed if I say too much, they will say, well, we need to send you to a specialist. I don't have health care insurance, so yeah, that would not be a good thing. For the record, I have had insurance before, and I've been to a specialist, and they basically had said the same thing. So anyway, but about this kind of thing, a doctor should tell you. Now, I had doctors put me on that medication. Did they tell me that? No. And yeah, so that to me, that's rather dangerous. Don't you agree? But in that kind of situation, I wouldn't know to ask that question, because I was always told that medication, metformin, wouldn't allow it to go too low. You see, there was no way I would know to ask it, because I was already told something else, which apparently was wrong, for me at least. Anyway, there have been other situations in my life. Well, let me go back. Why it's on my mind this morning is because my glucose stays a bit too high. Always has. And except for those, that happened again another time. But it's usually pretty high, and I take my pill in the morning, and I don't always eat with it. I take my metformin 4 times a day. 1 pill 4 times a day. But I don't always take it, eat something in the morning, which is not a good thing. You should, from what I would guess. I've never been really told to eat something with it. And this morning I left my home to come to this store where I'm sitting right now, and I started feeling really lightheaded. Now, the only reason I was driving down the road, I was going, oh my goodness, I need to hurry up and get to the store and get something from this store and eat it, which I did. But the only reason I knew that, to do that was, for one, my dad. My dad was type 1. Okay, he was on insulin, shots. And whenever he had a low, he would feel dizzy, and he would eat dizzy, lightheaded, disoriented, this kind of thing. And he would eat something that's, that made his glucose go high, Usually, I think he carried around some candy with him, and also he would eat crackers. But it's something like you're supposed to eat until you can get and eat a regular meal to bring it back up. So I'm not an expert. I don't know. Never been on insulin. Okay, but there were things, that I didn't know, like that when the world would start twisting and turning around me, that it could be that I was on a low, my glucose was low. But it also can be that my blood pressure was too high. I had experienced that before. Oh my goodness. Now, it could have been at the same time my glucose could have been low. I don't know. But I did know that my blood pressure was real high that time. And the world was kind of spinning. Like you feel faint, but the world is spinning. It's not even going around you. It's going to go up and down in circles and all around. I didn't know that. I went to a hospital one time, drove myself to a hospital feeling that way. The doctor, I didn't have insurance. The doctor told me go home and get $400 and then I can come back and he'll tell me what it is. Yeah. From what I understand, that's kind of illegal. Okay, but at some point that day I did eat and it went away. That feeling. Yeah. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? Some of the things you don't know, they should be telling you. Now, I do know that people go to, have diabetic, they send them to classes now. They never did me. I have yet to be to one. Which I really should do, but I don't know how. I'm going to ask my doctor when I see them next if I remember. Adam was telling me yesterday, now they're finding out that dementia is due to a diet high in sugar. I'm like, what? But now, I have heard many years that some call it type 3 diabetes. I had asked one of my doctors one time, I said that, mentioned that, and she said that, I said I fear that was what was wrong with my mother. My mother had dementia, by the way. She died 4 years ago next month. And the doctor told me, she said, so maybe then you should start really thinking about how your glucose is high. Yeah, I've worked hard at it. I would be hard at lowering it, yeah. But it's never been low. It's always been a little high. And I do have questions like, and once I get in the doctor's office, they're in such a hurry. I can't ask the questions. I have questions like this. Okay, there's a standard. Everybody should be within this range. But what if it's a bigger person? I'm like you should call myself, gentle giant. I'm not a small person, as a small woman at all. I'm taller than your average male. So, and I'm not skinny. I'm not real slim. Slender, I guess you would call it. So, would it be the same? What I need? Doctors have told me that that for me, it needs to be around 150. Okay, my glucose around 150. Now, other people would say, whoa, that's high. That's like twice as much as my doctor wants it to be. Well, yeah. But they never. But when I ask questions, like I say, the doctors are so quick to try to find reasons they can leave the room. They're in there like 2 minutes, and maybe maximum, I don't even think 5 minutes, really. They'll say, well, I'm going to go see if I have free samples of that, and they never come back. It's a nurse or an MA or something that comes back. Not even a nurse, but they come back with the medication. So, I've learned that a long time ago. This is kind of a rambling, kind of go with the flow, stream of consciousness video, isn't it? Okay, anyway. It's more me coming out of this little fog that I was in. But it can be in anything, really. This kind of thing that you don't know because you don't know, you don't have the questions to ask. Me and Adam had a funny the other day. He mentioned we bought some cheese, and he told me that he had this experience. And even before he said it, I knew it, and I said, we basically said it at the same time, that when we were younger, the cheese that you get, and it's got the little wax, I think it is, like around it, that he had actually bitten into it. So have I, because we weren't ever told that's not what it was. It wasn't part of it that you eat, When we were talking about when we were real young, and I can remember thinking, why didn't anybody ever tell me that's wax, or whatever it is that they put around it? You know what I'm talking about. But you wouldn't know to ask, really, in a way. Or, you know, because I don't know, it's just weird, huh? I mean, there are other examples I could give. Like, the biggest one for Adam and I was when we were students, we were trying to be students. We had moved to Florida, and we were trying to get, I think he was finishing his bachelor's in electrical engineering, and I was working on mine in psychology. And basically we realized, you know, there were some things that could have helped us because we had just moved and all this, and there were problems whenever you move from one state to another. You're not a resident of that state, and on. But we didn't know the questions to ask, and nobody was offering that kind of information so that we needed, and we didn't know who to ask. And we had been to the certain, you know, these different departments that we needed to go to, but nobody told us. You know, well, this is also is what you need to do, and this is how it helps you. And there was nothing like you could read and find that out. But eventually we overheard it and found out. But you know what I mean. Anyway, if you have anything like that you want to comment on, leave it below. If you want to subscribe to this channel, click the circle. If you want to watch another video, click one of the rectangles. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you would. And I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.